a disturbing universe.
3, 2. Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. And if you're new here, hey, welcome. Hope you like it enough to watch some of my other videos and maybe subscribe and all that. To my repeat viewers and imaginary and real friends who come by and watch, hello and welcome back. You guys are the best. Okay, well, before we do anything else, I'm going to start off this week's video with an entry in a contest. This is a new channel that I was made aware of by HappyHippy, the vinyl guy. I was watching his channel and he entered this contest, and I thought, yeah, I can do this. This would be kind of cool. And so this channel is called Rick and Records. Relatively new on the scene. He's trying to get 300 subscribers, and he's doing a contest, and the contest is called Double Down. So you show 5 albums that you have 2 copies of and explain why you have 2 copies. And yeah, all 4, he said all formats are allowed, and you know, even if your second copy is a CD or a cassette or an 8-track, it counts. So to start with, here's So What by Joe Walsh. This is a good album, you know. Joe Walsh is just some solid 70s rock. This album is from 1974. Joe Walsh, of course, was in the James Gang and the Eagles. Great guitarist. This has the song Turn to Stone, which that song was on 2 different albums. There's an earlier version of Turn to Stone on his Barnstorm album, but the version that was a hit was on this. Also, County Fair is a really cool song. So What? And here's my 8-track of Joe Walsh, So What? Blue GRT 8-track. Okay, so that's the bonus. That's the bonus. Now we're gonna get down to the actual 5 albums. Okay. Fleetwood Mac, Then Play On. And this is, of course, the psychedelic Peter Green era Fleetwood Mac, and it's a masterpiece. I mean, I love most phases of Fleetwood Mac. But yeah, this is just a brilliant album. It gets a little more psychedelic and reflective than the really early blues-oriented stuff. Recording engineer Martin Birch, 1970. And of course, contains the epic track, Oh Well. But here's the thing. In England, Oh Well was released as a single, kind of part 1, part 2, 45, and you had to flip it over. And initially, Then Play On did not include Oh Well. It had a couple of different songs. And for the longest time, I thought that it was only the British pressings that did not include Oh Well. And then one day in a thrift store, I found this little earlier pressing with the orange label. And songs are in a different order. And there are 2 different songs instead of Oh Well. My Dream and When You Say, 2 Danny Kerwin songs instead of "Oh Well" on the first printings of Then Play On. I think if you got the CD, it's every song that's on both versions, but I don't have the CD, so I can't confirm that. But yeah, there's my 2 copies of Fleetwood Mac, Then Play On. Okay. Now there are certain huge bands that anybody who collects is going to have multiple copies of. So this is the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper album, and this is an OG mono copy with all the stuff. Has the funky looking inner sleeve. There's the label, and it's got the cutout sheets, and it's got the price. I kept the price tag on it because it was 99 cents, and it's from a record store that is tragically not in business anymore. The owner lost his life in a drug deal gone bad back in the 90s. But that's an entirely another story for another video. And these are record videos, not true crime videos. But this is my second copy of Sgt. Pepper. And I got this because this was the most similar to the one that my dad bought when I was a kid that I was mesmerized by. And that is an early 70s stereo pressing on the Apple label, which the late 60s, early 70s pressings of Beatle records were on their Apple label. Got another one of these funky inner sleeves. You know, I did not know that this was the Sgt. Pepper inner sleeve, but I found these in other records when I was like gifted boxes of records or purchasing boxes of records, and I'd find this sleeve, and I was like, oh, that's the Sgt. Pepper. So I put them in my Sgt. Peppers. Okay. Another band I was obsessively collecting for a while. The Velvet Underground. And this is the Velvet Underground's 3rd album, and I have 2 copies. This is a UK pressing, probably from the 80s, on the MGM, blue MGM label. And this is a wonderful record. This was after John Cale quit the band and they were replaced by Doug Yule. The music got a little more mellow, but with tracks like The Murder Mystery, still experimental. But this 80s UK pressing is what they call the closet mix, which what that means is that Lou Reed went into the studio and remixed the album to bring the vocals more up front and reduce the amount of reverb and just give it a more personal, intimate kind of sound. And they call that the closet mix because it sounds like the band is playing in a closet because they sound so close up. This next copy, my other copy of this, is a reissue that I think, I'm not sure exactly when this reissue came out. Maybe in the 2000s or something like that. That seems most likely. But this is on blue vinyl with like a 50s style MGM label. And this is the original Tom Wilson mix of the album. I mean, the way you can tell is by the song Some Kind of Love, because they're actually 2 different takes of the song. There are actually two different takes of the song. And if you've got the really quiet, minimal mix that's just like guitar and cowbell, and it sounds like Lou Reed whispering in your ear, then you have the closet mix. And if you have the mix that's a little more rock sounding with the full band, that take, then you have the Tom Wilson mix. But anyway, that's my two copies of that, of the Velvet Underground's third album. While we're in the 60s, let's just stay in the 60s with the Texas Psychedelic Masterpiece, the first album by the 13th Floor Elevators. And this is an OG copy. It's a little banged up, but it plays, and it's sentimental just because of the way I got my hands on this record when I was 16. It's very sentimental, but this is an OG stereo copy. 13th Floor Elevators, Rocky Erickson. The liner notes are pretty much an infomercial for drugs here. What does it say here? Recently, it has become possible for man to chemically alter his mental state. It is this quest for pure sanity that forms the basis of the songs on this album. Right. Okay. And this is my second copy. And this is a reissue of the mono version. I put the hype sticker here. This is the reissue of the mono mix on Sundays. But yeah, this is one of those essential 60s psych albums. Okay. And last, but definitely not least, another very important genre of music that I feel very strongly about is jazz. And this was one of my formative albums that got me into jazz. It's Monk's Time by Thelonious Monk. A lot of really long, extended jams, like especially Lulu's Back in Town and Break's Sake, and the song Stuffy Turkey, which needs to be played every Thanksgiving. But yeah, Monk, he took piano playing to a kind of abstract and dissonant level. He showed the world that slightly dissonant music can be fun. It's not always chin-stroking avant-gardism or angriness. Dissonance can be fun and make you smile. That's what Thelonious Monk taught us with his unique style of piano. But this is my second copy. This is a radio station promotional copy, and it's in really nice shape. Let me just show you this label. This is like grail of all grails to just have, because a white label promo copy, that's like one of the first ones to come off the press, and they sent it to radio stations. But I saw this in the 90s at a swap when I was selling records at swaps, and I was expecting to pay an arm and a leg, and I nervously asked the man what he wanted for it, and it was a lot less than I thought. And I'm like, okay, I'm buying this sucker. And I guess that was karma, because I was also selling records at that show, and sold a few things a lot cheaper than I should have. But the fact that I found this and a few other amazing records that same day made it worthwhile. Okay, so that's my entry in the Double Down contest. And After the break, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program.
So yeah, another day of trying to maintain a bubble of tranquility in an increasingly chaotic universe. I don't know. What would others think if they watched my adventures and perceptions on the screen? Would they think that I blew it because I'm not doing enough? You know? Seems like the rest of the world takes a lot of this shit for granted. We're not going to do it. They don't act like we humans are more than just machines. Very mechanical perspectives that they do well. But what can you do, you know? You can take everything for granted and just always wanting more, or you can treasure glimpses of awesomeness.
Oh yeah, that's just fine. Come on, boys. Just one more time.
You know how you spell ugly? You.
But anyway, I've been doing this series, this reverse alphabet series, to shed a little light on the subject. Yeah, the reverse alphabet series. I'm going through my record collection, starting with the rock section in reverse alphabetical order, trying to organize this shit, you know, but this week we're on the letter U. So here's my stack of records brought to you by the letter U. As I'll just talk about this, Uzi Sleep Asylum. Uzi was another band that had the singer for Live Skull in the 80s. Uriah Heep. Yeah, the real life Spinal Tap. Great Roger Dean artwork here. Yeah. Uriah Heep is cool. They're one of those bands that the critics lied to you about and said they weren't good, but they're actually good. This is the American pressing of their first album. Very heavy, very humble, with the superior cover art. Urban Verbs. Very underrated new wave band. Kind of at the time, critics saw them as a ripoff of the Talking Heads. But this is a good record. This next record, I'm actually going to ask for your help with this because I really am very baffled and confused by this record. I found this in a thrift store, just the loose record. I don't know if it cost me $1 or what it cost me, but it doesn't say anywhere the artist name. It just has unlimited sound production for the label, and they do a cover of Nowadays Clancy Can't Even Sing. I'm pretty sure the other songs are original, but yeah, this is some private pressed record from some band, maybe in the early 70s, but I have no clue. So I'm going to just show you this label nice and up close, because there's got to be somebody out there who's an expert on this kind of stuff. I'm looking in the direction of a few that I watch who might know what this is. This is kind of a psych rock classic, The United States of America, with female vocals and lots of trippy electronic sounds. This is one of those reissues. What else do I want to talk about? Ugly Custard. UFO is one of my favorite bands. I don't have UFO 2, which is one of the pre-Michael Schenker albums, but I did stumble upon this. This is an original copy of UFO 1, American pressing on the Rare Earth label, with the ad for other albums you can buy, including SF Sorrow, Toe Fat, Rare Earth itself, and Power of Zeus. U2, you know, back in the 80s, I used to love these guys, but then they kind of, by about this album, they were just kind of believing their own hype that they were saving the world a little too much, and it was just getting on my nerves. So I don't have a lot of fancy U2 records I used to have. It's just kind of narrowed down to these and October and Unforgettable Fire on CD. Now that's you, and then we'll get into you know, there's Twink and the Twinkies. Just while I got the camera on, I'll show you this. This is the Anopheles Records pressing of the Twinkies Cartoon Land. One of the coolest reissues of this album. It's got this nice clear vinyl. And this is kind of a glammy new wave oddball kind of band. There's aliens in our midst.
Hey Steve, I think you forgot to talk about one of those records in that stack.
Well, gee whiz, I think you're right, Mr. Gopher. And if you were looking with a keen eye, you might have saw me flip past this record. This is Danger Money by UK, the prog rock band UK. And it appears to be autographed by John Wetton. John Wetton, who was in King Crimson and Asia. So yeah, Asia was not the only band named after a place that John Wetton was in. And no, I did not meet him. I just bought it at a record store that doesn't seem to give that much of a shit when they find a record that's autographed. But yeah, no, I just found it at a record store. You know, I'm thinking of, you know, for a future video, like of autographed records. But yeah, this is Eddie Jobson, you know, the violin player from Roxy Music, and the drummer Terry Bozzio of Missing Persons and Frank Zappa fame. So yeah, UK was kind of a proggy supergroup, and yeah, so this was kind of a cool score to find an autographed UK record. So anyway, that's my video. That's my video for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. You know, we'll see. Maybe I'll win something from this contest. I'm going to put links down below to those other channels that I mentioned early on. And, you know, go check those out. Go check those out because, you know, those guys got records. And, you know, like to watch people talk about records. There's a lot of us here on YouTube. But, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up for this week. I'll see you next time. Say bye, Mr. Gopher.
Bye, Mr. Gopher.
Thank you.